Hey friend, welcome to the Branding with Jade podcast. I'm Jade, also known as the Aussie Adventuress, and I left the high-flying corporate world to chase my dreams and build an online business. Now, my biggest passion is teaching you how to get paid to be yourself doing what you love. If you want my secrets on all things personal branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, and making money doing what you love, then lovely, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of the Branding with Jade podcast. Firstly, sorry if I sound a little bit sniffly today. I do have a bit of a cold. The weather is changing here in Queensland and I do not deal well with the cold, so it's made me get a little bit sniffly. But I'm here, I'm all good, and it's been a very exciting week for me actually. I'm really settling in quite well into this isolation lifestyle and I'm feeling so productive. I've been hard at work on my upcoming course, which I cannot wait to share with you all really, really soon. And I've also been doing assignments for my group coaching program that I joined. And seriously, this was one of the best moves, deciding to invest in a coach during this time. The up levels that I've been experiencing in my mindset and overall approach to my business has been so incredible. And this isn't even 1 month in, and it's just amazing. Like, she reviews my content, she gives me assignments. We're part of a group where there's so many girls that are in business as well. We do co-working calls together and it's just really a lot of fun, and it's keeping me connected to people during this time when we can't actually be out and about meeting people. So it's really awesome and I love it. And I do think now is like one of the best times to invest in yourself because it's such a time for growth. It's such a time to really move forward in your business, and the best way to do that is to have somebody guiding you and holding your hand. And so if you have been thinking about it, I highly recommend it. It's really awesome. And whoa, it's 11:11 as I said that. So talk about crazy alignment. I also spent the weekend cleaning out piles of clothes that I'd been meaning to get to for a long time. So I put some of them online and they've been selling like hotcakes, which is awesome. It helps that I always used to buy brand label stuff. So people really like to buy my clothes when I sell them because I have such good quality stuff. But the rest I also donated to charity. So that felt really good to just have a big, massive clean out and get all of that out of the way. It's something I've been meaning to do for such a long time and it felt so good. So anyway, enough about me. How have you been? I really hope you're doing well during this time. I have had a lot of people reach out to me and I know many people are experiencing ups and downs. And like I said before, I just want you to know I am here. But I also don't want to dwell on that stuff anymore, which is why I'm choosing to move forward with my podcast as usual and talk about all things branding again. After all, this is what I'm most passionate about. And if you've been listening to my podcast, then that's why you're here as well. So let's talk about branding because it's fun, it's important, and we all love it. And we all really need to make sure that we have all of these things in place to have powerful personal brands. So today I want to talk to you all about why you need to be creating your own branded graphics. And I'm even going to give you some tips on my favorite tools for doing this. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, but creating a cohesive look for my branding will cost a fortune and I just can't do that right now. Or, another thing to learn how to do myself. When will this end? Well, let me tell you, the tools I'm going to share with you today are not only free, but they're super easy to use and actually make design really fun. And trust me, I've grown up believing that I don't have a creative bone in my body and telling myself I'm not creative and I'm no good at design. But then I remembered back to all the fun I used to have as a child. I was actually always doing something arty, whether it was pressing flowers, making my own paper, making fairy rings, making cards, painting bottles, mosaics, collages. I may not be the next Picasso, but I can still do creative stuff. And so can you. I'm sure of it. And I've actually been surprising myself a lot lately with the level of creativity I've been getting to with my graphics and the way I'm editing my photos and stuff. And if you look at what I do now compared to what I used to do in Canva, like what I used to do was awful, but I still did it. I fumbled, I learned, and I've grown my skills over time. So you might not be amazing at the start, but you can definitely get better, and you can definitely get inspiration from other people and then model your stuff to look like yours by getting inspiration from others. So there's so many ways to do it, and it is really important to do it. So now that we have got that sorted, let's talk about why it's important to have graphics that suit your brand. Sorry, actually. Let's first talk about what I mean when I say graphics. So when I say branded graphics, I'm talking about all the things. Social media posts, including quotes, memes, testimonials, tips and tricks, that kind of stuff, your ebooks, your presentations, things that you add onto your website, all of that kind of stuff. Anything that is design related should be branded to you. So all of that should be aligned with your style and your branding. It's really not enough to just share other people's cute quotes and graphics or create one-off graphics on the fly with no thought about the style. That does not elevate your brand. And especially if you're just sharing other people's quotes and graphics, all you're actually doing is giving them free marketing to your audience. You're not helping to create a cohesive look for your brand. You're not making your brand memorable. You're helping somebody else's brand grow. So this is why you really need to be using branded graphics. So what are they? Quite simply, they are ones that you design or create to align with your branding style, which, if you haven't figured out, by the way, is one of the modules in my upcoming course. Hint, hint, hint. So if you're unsure what your style is and you would really like somebody to guide you through how to select it, how to think about it from a psychological perspective, how to think about it from your client perspective, from your customer avatar perspective, from the perspective of what your archetype is, all of that kind of stuff, you need to be in my course because I go in depth into every element of your design, and that's just one module. There's so much more stuff in there, but that's not what this podcast is about. I just got excited because I was working on that module yesterday, so it was just in my mind about that. But anyway, let's get back to branded graphics. So branded graphics will feature elements that are unique and recognizable to your brand. So things like colors, fonts, and logos. And so if you think about it, if you were to scroll through my Instagram feed right now, you'll notice all my quotes, value posts, testimonials, and things like that, they all have the same style. So I share quotes that I've seen other people write, but I create them on my own graphic. I quote who the person is, and then I turn it into my own thing. So it matches my feed and it's consistent with my branding. So if somebody else shares it, they'll see it linked back to my account as well. So that way it's unique and recognizable to my brand. And I also apply the same style to my website, any presentations I create, ebooks, and so on. So everywhere you see me online, you'll see a very consistent and cohesive look, which is all done purposefully to elevate my brand and make it recognizable and memorable. So if you're not somebody that likes design work, then it's a good idea to have a suite of templates for things like sales promo, blog posts, quotes, tips and tricks, announcements, testimonials, Pinterest pins, and anything else you need for your business. And you might be thinking, oh my God, that sounds like such hard work. But actually it's not, because what you can do is you can create a suite of templates, and then you can easily edit them whenever you want to share something. So that's like what I do. Whenever I see a quote I like, I use one of my templates and I make it my own. If I want to share a tip or a trick, I go to my go-to templates and I edit them around and I add my style. So I'm sharing valuable content, but it's all aligned with my brand. Now, if design is not your forte, then you could always go to a place like Etsy or Creative Market and find a designer you like who is selling template packs. That's what I used to do a lot in the beginning when I didn't feel creative and when Canva templates weren't that great. But now Canva templates are amazing anyway. So if I'm not feeling creative enough, I just go through the templates on Canva and they're awesome. But if you want something that's a little more to your style and you're not feeling the ones in Canva, then go to Etsy or Creative Market, find a designer you like who is selling template packs and buy them, import them into Canva, and then customize them to be your own. Or find a designer on Instagram and see if they can make you a custom pack. A lot of designers do that, where they'll actually make you a template pack, so it's not just your initial branding that they do, but they give you the tools you need to be able to keep consistently showing up and keeping your brand consistent and aligned. So the one thing you do need to make sure they're customizable in a program you can actually use, like Canva. So in the past, I have made the mistake of buying Photoshop designs before, and that was useless to me because I just cannot figure Photoshop out. If you're somebody that likes Photoshop, then great. But if you're listening to this episode, then you're probably not, because you're probably someone that's just trying to figure out how to create graphics. And so Photoshop is advanced and it's awful for someone like me who does not have the patience to play around with all that fiddly stuff like layers and elements and all of that. It's just not fun. Canva is what I like, and Canva can look so professional now. They've really upped their game in the last year, so you really don't need a lot more than that, unless you are going to work with a graphic designer who you want to really elevate your brand. But if you're at the start out level when you're DIYing it, Canva is awesome. So now that you know what branded graphics are, let's take a deeper look at why they're important. So the first thing, and I've touched on this, is that it increases brand awareness and recognition. Now think of all the big brands and even smaller brands that you may follow on social media. All the quality ones are instantly recognizable, whether it be through a certain color, font, logo, or slogan. And these brands do a fantastic job of making sure their most recognizable elements are consistent across all of their marketing materials. So once you see their branded graphics, you instantly know who they are and what they do, because they've done such a good job of making it aligned to them. So you need to think about this too, and you need to really do this if you want your brand to be memorable and recognizable. So the content you share across your various channels will really be the thing that is relatable to your brand. And so you want to make sure that you're using your branding wherever you can across all of your posts, so that your followers can instantly recognize you when they're scrolling across their different social media platforms. And it also really helps you to get your personality across by staying true to your style, rather than sharing everybody else's content and having a mix of everybody else's personalities. You can keep it all to yours, so that people are really making a connection to you, because it's a whole layer of things that they're connecting to you. They're connecting to the images, they're connecting to your story, they're connecting to your graphics and fonts and colors. And so the more layers you add that align with you and your brand, the stronger your brand becomes. And this is why it's so important to cover all of these bases of building a personal brand, so that you really become stronger and more powerful. And so those who really make use of branded graphics will find that their followers remember their brand and their story quite easily. On the flip side, like I was saying, if you have no consistency and you've got a jumbled feed with all kinds of colors that don't fit together and you've got all different fonts and all different elements, then it will be much harder to build the same brand awareness. And trust me, I didn't always have a really well branded feed. If you look back at my old Aussie Adventurous account or some of my other ones that I used to use for business, they were awful. I used to just create random quotes with no thought about colors and fonts and all of that kind of stuff, and so there was no alignment and there was no real strong branding there. But the more effort you put into that stuff, the more of a lasting impression it makes, and so that will really help you to have brand awareness, because you really want to be memorable and you really want someone to be thinking, like, when something pops into their mind that they need a certain person for something, you want to be the person that they think of. And the way to do that is to have content that sticks with them, because then they're going to think of you more and more. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is it helps to create a really uniform look. So another thing that you'll see with all the big successful brands is that they're consistent when it comes to how they portray their businesses. So whether it's in their online content or if they're offline, say they've got books or billboards or publications, if they've got an online newsletter, social media, all of that stuff, they ensure that it's consistent when it comes to their styling. So it's not that they've got one look on Instagram, a different look on their website, another look for their offline content. It's all uniform and it's all consistent. So this again helps to elevate brand recognition and awareness, but it also helps you to make your business look far more professional, which in turn will make people know, like, and trust you better, because they see that you've put the time and effort into establishing a powerful brand. And so they'll put their trust in you because they see you as a professional. They don't see you as someone who's just figuring things out and just doing things as you go. They see you as someone that's got a well thought out plan and is putting the effort into building their brand. So first impressions are so important when it comes to things like social media and your online presence, because people are so overpowered by information all the time. So your impression matters. And if you don't make a good impression in those first few seconds that they come across you, then you're likely to lose them. So you really need to have consistency. When a potential customer clicks through to your profile and sees a whole mess with no consistency, they're probably not going to choose you. They're probably going to look for the person or be more attracted to the person that presents their content beautifully and with a cohesive look. Now, that might not be something that's important to you, but I know for a fact that all the brands I've ever invested in have been based on looks to start with. Like, there's one, the Female Entrepreneur Association, that was all pretty and pink and glittery and sparkly, and I loved it because it's totally my kind of thing. Her branding matches my kind of thing, and that's why I was attracted to her. Same with the other ones I'm attracted to. There's consistency, there's cohesiveness, they're memorable, there's simplicity, it's beautiful, it's elegant, all of that kind of stuff which I value. And so I'm drawn to them because they have really good brands. That's what I'm drawn to. So that is really important. And this goes into my next point, which is it attracts your ideal customers. Powerful brands attract customers. So your overall style, if it's consistent, if it's cohesive, if there's thought that's been put into it to make sure that it's attractive to your clients, will mean that it does the work for you. So the overall style that you use across your social media channels and everywhere else can tell a lot about your brand. So I've spoken before about how colors have different psychological associations. The same goes with fonts, and the more consistent you are with both, the more impact you'll have. When working on your branding, it's really important that you're choosing elements that align with what your brand stands for and who your target market is. So for example, if you're a business who targets primarily females, it's likely that you'll focus on pretty feminine features and color palettes and script kind of cursive fonts, because girls, ladies, women, we're all attracted to that. And if we're not, then it's a different kind of vibe. But your vibe attracts your tribe. And so when you put out content that is aligned and consistent with the audience that you're trying to attract, then you will attract that audience to you. So These are the elements that appeal to your audience. These are the elements you want to think about using. So by ensuring that you're using graphics with branding elements that resonate with your target market, you're not only capturing their attention, but you'll also be drawing them in, hopefully getting them to engage with you. And the more in depth into your world they get, the more they start to know, like, and trust you. But they're not going to take that step into your world unless their first glance at what you put out there attracts them to. So you really need to focus on the visual side of things, because that's what attracts people in. We're visual beings. We respond to that stimulus, and then we're drawn into the stories. Then we want to get to know the person deeper. But they're not going to even try to get to that next level of getting to know you unless you draw them in first with your visual representation of your brand. Now, number 4, it makes your content shareable. Now, this is a big one. Everybody loves to see really beautiful imagery on social media, and when your imagery is attractive and appealing, then it's more likely that people will want to share it. Now, you may notice if you follow me on Instagram that whilst I don't share other people's content in my feed, I do share it a lot in my stories. If I come across a quote I like and I'm not going to use it myself, or if I come across something that's particularly useful and I want to share it and it's not something that I actually teach, then I'll share it in my stories. And most of the time, the stuff I share is aligned with my branding anyway, because I follow people. It's just subconsciously, I follow people with similar looks and feels to me because that's what I'm attracted to. And I like to keep it aligned with my branding. And so in most cases, you want to create content that other users, instead of sharing other people's content, you want to be the one that's creating content that's shareable. So it's a huge thing for raising brand awareness, getting your message out to more people, and not to mention how great it is for the Instagram algorithm. Since likes got removed, one of the biggest measures of whether your content is performing well is that it gets shared. And so if you want to create shareable content, you need to be creating your own branded graphics so that people are sharing your content and not just sharing memes and quotes that everyone is resharing. And for the final point, number 5, it helps you tell your story with visuals. So we all know the saying, a picture tells 1,000 words. Yes, it might be cliche, but it is so true. Visuals can help enhance certain aspects of a product or service and show things off in a way that you simply can't achieve through your words alone. Not only that, but if you've got a photo that isn't particularly exciting, you can jazz it up a little bit by playing around with it in a design tool and adding a few things to it, adding some glitter, adding some swirls, adding some texture and things like that make it stand out a little bit more. And so that way, it's more attractive to your audience. And if people are drawn in by the image and the graphic, they're more likely to read your words. You could have the most amazing caption, but if your photo doesn't capture a person's eye first, they're not even going to read the caption, because you've only got the first few lines on Instagram that they read. And if that doesn't draw them in and the image doesn't draw them in, then you've lost them and they're not reading the whole caption that is powerful. And so if you want them to read a powerful caption, you need to have a powerful graphic or image to go with it. So when it comes down to it, as I said earlier, we are visual. We respond to visual things. And so with thousands of posts made every day, you need to make your content stand out amongst the rest. When your followers are scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, it's really natural that the graphics that are presented nicely are going to be the ones that capture their attention more so than those that look sloppy or unengaging. Not to mention, but on a place like Instagram and Pinterest where it's very visual, you start to recognize the content created by certain brands, because if it's consistent, then you start to associate that style with a particular brand. And when you see their content, you'll be thinking, oh my God, I see this person's content all the time. It's not necessarily that they post any more or less than anybody else, but it's that their content is consistent, so it's memorable to you and it's having more of an impact on you, because people need to see things like it used to be, I think, 22, it used to be 7, then it was 22, and now I think it's even more than that. But people need to see something that many times before they even make a connection to it and like actually consciously think about it. And so if your graphics are always different and your pictures have no cohesiveness, is that a word? I think so. I should not be questioning words. Journalism major. But if there's no consistency there, then people aren't making that recognition. Whereas if you've got that consistency, then people are going to keep thinking, oh my God, I see her stuff all the time, because your stuff is memorable. It's got a visual appeal to them, and subconsciously they're paying attention. And then eventually that subconscious attention turns into them actually paying real attention. And so you need to make your graphics appealing if you want people to stop scrolling and pay attention to what you have to say. So being consistent with the style of content you share will make it easier for your followers to recognize your post in their feed. And if they liked your previous post, then they'll read your next post because they like what you have to say, and so they'll keep coming back. When they see your stuff in their feed, they'll be excited, they'll recognize it, and they'll want to learn from you. So whether your goal is to increase your brand awareness, attract your ideal customers, or just help to tell your brand story, you really need to understand how important and beneficial branded graphics can be to your business. So now you know the why, the what, and the how. It's time to get started and go ahead and start customizing and designing your own branded graphics, and do it straight away. You might not need to share them instantly, but have a play around, create some templates, work on getting a suite together so that when you do need to share content, you've got it there to quick and easily go to. Now, I've mentioned it a few times in this episode, but I do highly recommend trying Canva, as they have a huge range of pre-made templates. Not to mention you can upload your own fonts and save your own color palette. So it's really easy to keep all your work looking consistent. And if you want more of my hot graphic design tools, stay tuned for my post on Instagram tomorrow where I'll be sharing 10 of my favorites. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you do need more help understanding how to choose your colors, fonts, and overall brand style, this is all covered in great depth in one of the modules in my upcoming course, Hiding to Shining. So if you'd like to be one of the first to get access to it, plus receive exclusive pre-launch bonuses and discounts, make sure you're signed up to my waitlist so you can stay up to date with all the details over the coming weeks. You can join the waitlist at jadescarfone.com/course-waitlist. Link will also be shared in the show notes and is available in my Instagram bio. The waitlist closes on the 4th of May, and that's when the special deals and offers will be sent out exclusively to the people on the waitlist, because that's not the official launch date. That's just a pre-launch to my people on the waitlist. So if you want to be able to get exclusive discount, you need to be on the wait list. So go to the link in the show notes or the link in my Instagram bio and sign yourself up. And that's it. I hope you got value out of this episode. I hope you are excited to go and create your own branded graphics. And I really look forward to seeing more consistent and cohesive feeds in my Instagram feed. By the way, I'm sure you can probably already guess, but this episode is brought to you by Canva. It's my favorite graphic design tool of all, with hundreds of templates to choose from that suit every online platform, thousands of free stock images, easy to use tools, and great customization options. You really can't go wrong, and they have really upped their game in the last year. You can do videos, you can do GIFs, you can do animations, you can do so much cool stuff, which really takes your brand to the next level. So seriously, go and try it out for free right now today at jadescarfone.com/Canva. Have some fun and create some amazing graphics. I can't wait to see what yours look like. Bye for now.